How you doing? I'm Callan and this is Slapped Ham. Today we're talking about actors that nearly died on set. From comas and infections to an actor that played Jesus that got hit by lightning. Join us as we take a look at 10 famous movie scenes that nearly killed the actor.
Now You See Me has heaps of stunts and spectacular visual effects, but for Isla Fisher there was one scene where her life was in danger. The 2013 film has her character drop into a water tank. She's supposed to escape while handcuffed just before her oxygen runs out. In the film, part of the trick is that the character's chain gets caught and the audience thinks she'll die. In real life, Fisher got stuck and spent almost 3 minutes trying to get out. None of the crew thought she was in any danger, they all thought she was putting in an amazing performance. In the final episode of Lost, there's a fight scene between co-stars Matthew Fox and Terry O'Quinn. Fox's character is supposed to be stabbed with a knife, so the set had 2 knives present, one with a blade that collapses when you stab someone, and a fixed blade knife that had a rigid blade. There was a lot of on-set confusion and it was unclear what armour and padding Fox should be wearing in which scenes, and which knife was to be used when. O'Quinn stabbed Fox with the fixed blade knife, but luckily he was wearing a Kevlar vest. Instead of a possible fatal stabbing, he was left with severe bruising. In 1968, Donald Sutherland was filming Kelly's Heroes and had to swim in the Danube River. He contracted meningitis from the river and eventually ended up in a coma and was medically dead for a brief period of time. He describes a bright white light pulling him upwards, but he resisted. After he woke from his coma, it took him over 6 weeks to recover. Michael J. Fox was almost suffocated while filming Back to the Future 3. His character is hung from a noose, and at first Fox had a box he could stand on so he wouldn't suffocate, as his whole body wouldn't be in the shot anyway. But the director apparently didn't like how that looked, so they started to film the scene without the box. Fox would then have to put his hand between the noose and his neck at a certain point to make sure he didn't die. But as there were so many takes, Fox ended up misjudging when to put his hand up and missed a cue. He ended up hanging from the rope and passed out for at least 30 seconds before anyone noticed. Halle Berry has a long list of injuries sustained while on set. She's damaged her eye from a smoke grenade, broke her arm in Gothica, was admitted to hospital after hitting her head on a lighting fixture while filming Catwoman, and even broke her foot on the set of Cloud Atlas, then re-injured it several weeks after recovery. While this is an impressive list of injuries, her most serious near-death moment occurred on the set of the James Bond movie Die Another Day. In the movie, her character Jinx is tasked with seducing 007. During the steamy encounter, Berry had to seductively eat a fig. However, as she stared into Pierce Brosnan's dreamy secret agent eyes, she started choking on the fruit. Brosnan recalled the rather strange moment in an interview with Esquire, saying that he remembers her suddenly going silent and waving her arms about. She was coughing and spluttering. As they were both mostly naked, he amusingly added that he was certainly in no position to give Heimlich to Halle at that moment. Luckily, the fig eventually became dislodged and the scene could continue, somewhat less erotically. While filming Rocky IV, Sylvester Stallone and Dolph Lundgren were pretending to punch each other while filming. However, Stallone thought it would look better if the punches were real, and so naturally the hits became pretty intense. Stallone insisted that Lundgren not hold anything back, and so Lundgren didn't. He punched Stallone so hard that his heart swelled and he had to be hospitalized for 8 days. For Apocalypse Now, the cast and crew spent their time filming in the Philippines, fighting off bad weather and malaria. And not only that, but almost everyone involved with the movie contracted dysentery, the flu, pneumonia, and/or numerous physical injuries. While filming, Martin Sheen was also drinking a lot and taking a lot of drugs. These factors, plus the physical environment, caused him to have a heart attack on set. He had to crawl half a mile to get medical attention and took a month off shooting. Diane Kruger had been a long admirer of director Quentin Tarantino's work and was excited to work with him on the movie Inglourious Basterds. In the film, there is a scene where her character is strangled. Tarantino decided that fake strangulation doesn't look real enough and that Kruger should be strangled for real, and that Tarantino should be the one to do it. There was a stuntman watching to make sure everything was okay, but her air supply was cut off just to film the scene. While filming Titanic, Kate Winslet had to run away from a lot of water. There's one scene where she and co-star Leonardo DiCaprio had to run through a narrow hallway while water crashed over them, sweeping them into a locked gate. During the take though, Winslet's coat got stuck and she couldn't come up for air. Once she'd recovered, director James Cameron let her catch her breath and then they went right back into filming the scene again, although Winslet was reportedly traumatised by her almost drowning. In Mel Gibson's 2004 Passion of the Christ, Jim Caviezel plays Jesus Christ. While filming the scene where Jesus gives the Sermon on the Mount, Caviezel was hit by a lightning bolt. People on set say that his whole body was illuminated and fire was coming out of both sides of his head. Many of the cast and crew were shocked by the incident and couldn't help but feel that it was significant in some way. Caviezel claims that several people had their beliefs tested while making the film. I mean, seeing a man dressed as Jesus get hit by lightning, flames coming out of his head, is enough to make anyone rethink their beliefs. It's quite well known that Jackie Chan does all his own stunts. For the sake of realistic looking action sequences, he's sustained a lot of pain and broken bones. He's broken almost every bone in his body, including his ankle, nose, shoulder, chin, fingers, and even his eyebrow bone, which almost caused him permanent blindness. He even smashed his tailbone, which caused him to be temporarily paralysed. However, his most serious injury occurred while filming a stunt for Armour of God in Yugoslavia. In what should have been a fairly routine sequence for Chan, things went horribly wrong when he misjudged his jump. In the scene, Chan's character has to jump from a castle wall to a nearby tree. As he jumped, he missed the tree branch and plummeted several meters to the ground below. Upon impact, he cracked his skull, shooting a fragment of bone into his brain. He was rushed to a nearby hospital for immediate brain surgery. A metal plate was inserted into his skull and a sizable dent can still be felt on his head today. Tom Hanks put his body through a lot of strain during the filming of Castaway, where he plays a man who's been stranded on an island after a plane crash. Hanks gained and lost over 20 kilos rapidly, so his body would look as haggard as if he had really been stranded. At one point he cut his leg on set. His whole leg started to swell and finally after 2 weeks he went to the hospital, where he was told he had a deadly staph infection and that he was lucky to come in when he did.
Well, there's another one down. Thank you so much for watching. If you're enjoying our content, hit that thumbs up button. Remember to hit that big old red subscribe button too if you're new, because we do stuff like this each and every week. And that's it for me. I'll see you all next time.